How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana goes to East Lansing and puts up a fight for a little while, and falls 81-60 as a 28-2 run by Michigan State. Busts up a what had been a 53-all game, and it continues a trend that we have seen from this Hoosier team over the past couple of games. And I think that this has a lot to do with talent. It has a lot to do with the way this team was built. And there's a lot to talk about here because it's not going to get a lot easier for the Hoosiers going forward. 812-393-2600 is the number. I want to talk to you. We'll start by just looking at the chat. Chris Davis on the chat says, rough one to watch. That's one way to put it. Seems blatantly obvious that we cannot continue to play. I believe he's trying to say Enright and Connerway at the same time. And he says, I like Coach DeVries, but it's something is either not being addressed or is being lost in translation because the floor product is suspect. No arguments from any of that right there. But more importantly, I continue to think, and I identified this as a potential problem earlier in the year, and I'm not saying that to try to pat myself on the back. What I mean is that this Hoosier team, as constructed, has a deep flaw in it. And that deep flaw is the roster is filled with a lot of older guys. But where do those older guys get the bulk of their experience? Davidson, Sam Houston State, DePaul. Connor Enright also went to Drake, but Drake. Troy, Elon, West Virginia, and Drake. That's where the main group is coming from. And outside of Sam Alexis playing at Florida, previous to that, played at Chattanooga because he appeared in 24 games for Florida last year and it's not like he was a critical performer. He was all-league guy in the Southern Conference, but folks, it ain't no secret that the Southern Conference is not the Big Ten Conference. And what I've seen against Nebraska, what I've seen against Michigan State is kind of the same thing in that Indiana plays these games like you see with a lot of mid-major teams when they play major conference teams, to where they put up a fight 3/4 of the game and then it kind of falls apart late. And that's what I keep seeing. 812-393-2600 is the number. We got our first caller. Caller, have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, I'm Eric from Indianapolis.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Good. How about yourself? Happy New Year and all that.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah. This is kind of like painful to watch. I mean, because of the construction of the roster.
Yeah.
And, people on the outside, and I've been hearing this for years, and I've been saying this, that they need to get three-point shooters.
Mm-hmm.
So now we got three-point shooters, but guess what? We don't have no inside presence. So I don't know. You picked your poison. I kind of understood what the last coach was trying to do, but he wasn't recruiting shooters. But the thing is, too, and he was trying to go out and get home run players. Boy, but how different would this team look with Malik Renew right now?
Sure.
I mean, how different would this team look with him? And like, I don't know his story. I don't know whether he just decided to leave or he was told to leave. He wasn't going to be retained. I don't know what it was, but there was a couple of guys on that team last year that possibly should have been kept or tried to be kept. And what it is that I see this schedule and I look at it. Anybody that got any inside presence is going to beat Indiana because they're going to get them in foul trouble.
Right.
And, there was a couple times that the big guy, Cooper, whatever he is, he mugged. He basically threw Tucker DeVries down, and they called a foul on him.
Yeah.
And then the little ticky tack on Reed Bailey, which he should have never did it. But that wasn't no flagrant foul. That was crap.
Oh, I agree with that. And not only that, but I looked at that and I thought that's you just get the guys together and you say, hey, knock it off right now.
Right.
They policed it themselves. It's handled. You move on. That to me,
Yeah.
I agree with you on that one. That was a ticky. Obviously, it wasn't the difference in the game, but that is a little bit of a change in kind of that style.
But there was something else too that I saw Saturday in the Nebraska game, and nobody is mentioning it. They keep talking about the Indiana turnovers, but nobody mentioned that when he took out his son Tucker, the whole game changed. So he let him sit for way too long. He should have put him back in the game because as soon as he got his fourth foul, the whole game changed.
Yeah, it's that fourth foul. That's the key. That's why he was keeping him on the bench.
Yeah, but still, sometimes you got to roll the dice. You have to roll the dice. You can't go with that. If you got a decent enough guy to play in that spot while he got four fouls, that's fine. But if you don't have nobody, then you have to go with what you got. You chose the roster. You chose that roster. So go with your players. Go with your best players. And at that particular time, Saturday, they needed their best five on the floor, especially the last 6-7 minutes of the game.
Well, and I'll throw this at you too, that in this game, you have Tucker DeVries finishes with 9 points on 3 of 10 shooting. He's 1 of 7 from 3-point range. He had 17 points against Nebraska, but previous to that, 5 and 6. He had 16 against Siena, 8 against Chicago State. Tucker DeVries has not exactly been kind of pulling the weight I think that people expected him to offensively. And when you're a 2,000-point scorer, you have to step up and be the veteran that you are.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, having him on the court is an offensive decoy for Wilkerson to get shots up. So what happened was you don't have another threat on the court. So guess what? They all keyed on Wilkerson at the end of the game.
Yep.
They keyed on him, and the whole game changed against Nebraska.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole game changed. And I think he should have kept him in the game. I mean, he could have pulled him out, went on the bench, talked to him, and said, hey, are we going to need you? Don't make no silly fouls.
Right.
And go back into the game after about 2 or 3 minutes on the bench. No, he sat him for a long time. And then when he finally put him back in, the whole game had changed. They had came back. I mean, I'm not here to bash his coaching at all.
Sure. No, I know.
But I just say if you constructed this roster, you could, and if you could foresee the rosters of the Big Ten teams, and if you got to like June or July and you looked at your roster, you say, how in the heck are we going to compete with no inside presence? They don't have none. I mean, Reed Bailey is decent, and that Alexis guy, he was looking good at first, but now, and just like what you were saying earlier, you were saying they play better against their own competition that they used to playing against.
Right.
But when it comes time to play against these Power 4 schools, they don't seem to be playing well.
That's exactly it. So what you have is a team that isn't fast enough, isn't quick enough, lacks size, doesn't have a guy who could really create off the dribble at all. And so you're living and dying by the three. I've enjoyed seeing them at times this year be able to get to the free throw line, kind of even things out that way. But this is a team that has multiple major flaws in it, and very few guys that are what I consider a level of being a Big Ten conference player. That's a mess. Yeah.
So the people that are watching this team, hey, look, they're going to be on the bubble, and I've never expected for them to win this game, but I never expected for this game to get away from them like it did.
Right.
And this game got.
Now let me ask you this. What makes you think that this is a team that, if it continues to play the way that it has, is going to deserve to be on the bubble? Because this is also a team that, if they've had to take on a Louisville, a Kentucky, A Nebraska, a Michigan State, they have not been there. They haven't gotten the job done.
Right. I mean, so my thing is that the most IU fans can hope for is for them to be on the bubble, even in consideration. I'm not saying that they're a bubble team. Their record may say, as far as the wins and losses may say,
right,
that they're a bubble team, and the conference they play in, it might say that, but they're not an NCAA tournament team. And then when they get in the tournament, where they're going to be, they're going to play in the first 4 games again.
Well,
I mean, you know,
yeah.
I mean, this is. I just seen this. I don't know what the deal was with the guys that were there from last year. If they chose to leave on their own, some of them were frustrated anyway. I guess, you know, from what I heard, some of them were really frustrated with the fan base and stuff like that. But that's what happens when you recruit players that don't understand what Indiana basketball is about.
See, one of the positives right now for players, from a player standpoint, is when you have a coaching change, you have some major turnover, you also get an opportunity to go and get a fresh start somewhere. And I think that, as much as anything else, was getting a fresh start to some of the negativity that they dealt with last year, I think was something that they were interested in. And plus, as a program, Indiana decided to completely clean house as well, all the way through, you know, the training staff. So there is all of that. The problem is, though, of course, then there is no institutional knowledge or consistency or anything that goes along with it.
Yeah, but they made that mistake. I mean, another administration made that mistake before when they got rid of Sampson. And, you know, you can't keep doing this. They can't keep doing this. I mean, you got to, like, let this man come in and choose who he wants. And we say, hey, look, we're gonna go after Malik Renew and whoever else. We're gonna go after them.
But remember, that's a two-part equation, because the kids have to want to play for Darren DeVries too.
Right, yeah. But, you know, I think that, you know, I mean, it was like $200,000 more that Malik Renew went to Miami for. You mean tell me they couldn't get? Again, that's why he went.
That's why I don't believe it was, you know, it isn't just about dollars and cents on that. It's Malik wanting a new opportunity, Malik looking at all the turnover that they had and decided, I don't want to deal with a bunch of new teammates again. And here at Indiana, let's go somewhere where I might have an opportunity to win right away.
Yeah. Well, I would have liked to have had a couple of those. I would have liked to have had Wilkerson and DeVries last year in replace of Kaden Carlisle and that other guy that went to Maryland. I would have loved to have those guys on that team last year. But my thing is that it's Apple. I mean, you know, it's just comparing, and I just don't see a light at the end of the tunnel with this roster makeup. It's possibility that they may surprise us. I thought they may surprise me today and sneak out a win at Michigan State, because Michigan State known for losing some head scratchers. They known for it,
right?
And I really thought that they were in the mix of maybe. Then the game fell apart. They let team. You can't not. I don't care who you are. You can't not let a team score 19 points in a row on you.
And a total of 28-2 run. Yeah.
That's a lot. And then you call timeouts. You call 2 timeouts in the process, and it seemed like nothing was done.
Right.
They came out and did the same thing again. So this is what we got. We got about an 18-win team. What would that be? 18-13. Maybe try their best to win 2 games in the Big Ten tournament. I don't know, where's the Big Ten tournament at this year?
I think it's in Chicago. I think.
Okay, yeah. Maybe get a couple of games in the Big Ten tournament and then get on the bubble, and then see how it goes. But I mean, I don't even want. I don't want. If they play away against Michigan State, that they go into Michigan next. Soon.
Oh yeah, I mean it ain't getting easier. They got Iowa coming up, and then they got Michigan, and It's a tough road to hoe. There ain't no question about that.
Yeah. Now I do believe that they can win at home. I really believe that they can win at home, and they done already won their one road game. I mean, I picked them to win 2 road games in this conference, and they won one of them. And that wasn't one of the games I picked either. Trust me, that wasn't one of the games. But I never thought they would beat Maryland, and Maryland somehow it seemed like other than last year or maybe whatever, it seemed like they really really throw the game away at Maryland, and they'd be having games won there, and they'll throw it away.
Yeah.
So I didn't pick them to win against Maryland, so that's the bonus. They won the game against Maryland. I think they got a game against Northwestern, and Northwestern not even a winnable game no more. I mean, hell, they come in Bloomington and beat us.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they come in Bloomington. So if they can protect home court, maybe win 8 games and maybe still 2 on the road, get them 10-10 in conference, then we'd be talking about a bubble.
Yeah, we'll see. And then they might have some work to do in the Big Ten tournament. Well, Eric, I really appreciate the call. I thank you very much, buddy.
No problem. And go Hoosiers Monday night.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
812-393-2600 is your number. Speaking of Monday night, I am really excited to announce and be letting you guys know that the Peegs Postgame Live will be will be broadcast from the Upstairs Pub on Kirkwood, and immediately following the game. If you are in Bloomington, first off, the Upstairs Pub is a great place to see a game. Atmosphere is fantastic. Can't say enough about it. And you'll be able to join me on camera and join me immediately following the game after what's hopefully going to be a very comfortable Indiana win to win a national championship in football. Just really excited to get a chance to broadcast from Upstairs Pub. Look for more information there. Obviously, we're going to have the post-game show as well after the Iowa game. So it's going to be a ton of excitement coming up. 812-393-2600 is the number. On our chat, we had somebody who was asking about, could I kind of compare this to Archie's first year? JDRMD8561. So it's a choice on a name. Would love for you to compare and contrast this year to year one of Archie in mid-January. And I could do exactly that because Indiana played Nebraska on January 14th, 2019, year one of Archie. And could tell you that Indiana lost that game by 15. They were 12-5 overall and 3-3 in the Big Ten. Indiana, after this loss today, is 12-5 overall, 3-3 in the Big Ten. Of course, that team had that team back in 2019. They had guys like Juwan Morgan and Romeo Langford, Devontae Green, Al Durham, Justin Smith, guys that were there that was going to be able to make a bit of an impact, to say the least. There was quality talent there. They were younger than Indiana is now. And that, to me, is somewhat of the concern about this team, is that this roster is the oldest in college basketball, I believe. And yet you see a lot of mistakes made. You see just silly turnovers, silly fouls, guys not being able to stay out of foul trouble. All of it keeps coming back to, in my mind, this idea that these are guys that have played a lot of college basketball, but played a lot of basketball at a lower level than what they're at right now. And so against Nebraska, they were rolling along. They had a blip. It fell apart. Tied at 53 tonight. Next thing you know, it's a long run by Michigan State, and it's over. And Indiana didn't have an answer for it at all. And that, to me, is a huge source of frustration. We also have Chris Davis says, if Sig could do it with the full football roster, it could be done in basketball. And let me tell you this. What Curt Cignetti has done at a level of nobody else in college athletics puts a lot of pressure on Darren DeVries. It does. It has to. Because IU fans are sitting here in mid-January waiting patiently for nearly another week to see their football team play its last game of the season. A football team that has historically been among the worst in college sports. And now they're playing for a national championship after 2 years. Last year, obviously, made it to the college football playoffs. Playing football at an extremely high level. And that puts a lot of pressure on the basketball team. It put pressure on Mike Woodson last year, who was in year 4. It puts a lot of pressure on a guy like Darren DeVries coming in to change things around as well. And it's a little maybe more visible when it comes to some of the players, because there's no question that Sig has won with guys who were previously successful at James Madison and some other lower levels of schools, but they are also playing at a high level at that school. And you have individual guys who have come in here that are, they were very good in their mid-major conference, but there's a reason why they weren't in a major conference. I just keep coming back to that. And the flaws of this roster show out every single night, every single time they go out on the floor, where you just don't have the same speed, the same quickness, the same instincts, the same size, the same athleticism, everything that goes into it. You have some shooters. You don't have anybody that really creates off the dribble outside of maybe Connerway. Guys can do it on a possession, but can they do it consistently? Is there a guy that you give him the ball and say, and get the hell out of the way and let him work? It's not what they're working with here. And again, not to pick on Tucker DeVries, but Tucker's struggling. Tucker's struggling big time. And that is a problem for Indiana because they need their top leading scorer, a guy who's a 2-time Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. All of a sudden, here he is in the Big Ten, and you go to Michigan State, 1 of 7 from 3 when three-point shooting is your thing, 9 points in 33 minutes. Coming off of a 17-point game, which was solid at home, but then at Maryland, only 5 points on the road at Maryland. At home against Washington, 6 points. Against Penn State earlier, it was 12 points. Against Minnesota earlier, it was 9 points. That's an issue. That's an issue. You need better production from that group and that player in particular. He does a lot of little things on the court, but he is not producing at a level that I think a lot of people expected. Troy on the chat says, I don't think, in reference to the previous caller, I don't think of his money for Malik. He was open to playing at home in Miami plus a fresh start, and I completely agree with that. Pecan Pies, he's back. Love the name. Pam Witten said, we will excel at everything we do at Indiana, including football. We are not excelling at men's basketball, and we haven't for most of the past 25 years. And that's absolutely the case. That's absolutely the case, and it is starting to show when it comes to support of this program. That absolutely is the case. It's starting to show. You could see it in the stands. You could see it in the balconies. These are Big Ten opponents that they've played at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. The place is nowhere near full. There's not a lot of connection to the players on this team because everybody is so new. There hasn't been an opportunity yet to build that connection with those players, even though we're more than halfway through the season. You haven't had any level of success here or approaching any level of success. You might go to the NCAA tournament, but who cares? At Indiana, that is seen as a bare minimum. And it hasn't been happening with nearly the regularity that it once did. And it's showing. So let's just go. Previous caller mentioned, by the way, lines are open, 812-393-2600. Last caller talked about kind of the start over that happened after Kelvin Sampson was resigned. That was a house cleaning. There's no question. And it turned it into Indiana 2.0, where you had a program with no institutional knowledge to it, wearing the same clothes, playing in front of the same fans, playing in the same building, but they were just wearing the new clothes, and it just needed time to get there. Well, we are now in Indiana 3.0 because the same exact thing happened without the sanctions. That makes life a hell of a lot easier. But since that happened with Tom Crean, and now we're talking about 2008-09, this is a team that in that time, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 seasons. We're in the 18th season from that, but 17 seasons have passed. Indiana has gone to the NCAA tournament 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And might have gone a 7th time during the COVID year when the tournament was canceled. But the bottom line on it is this is a team and a program that hasn't had any true level of success, anything approaching a level of success in years. Hasn't made it to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament in 10 years. It is not as attractive as it once was to young players. Because what in their lifetime has Indiana been known for? It's just been another program, and it's hard for IU alums to who lived through the very good years to understand that that's where we are, but that is where we are. So it's like, well, why can't you just throw a bunch of money at him and at guys and come in, hey, man, you got to convince them to come to Indiana. And I don't know what the selling point is right now to get them to come outside of that money. Now, Mike Woodson was doing a good job of buying guys and throwing a bunch of money at them and hoping. There wasn't a lot of roster construction happening. For this one, this season, you're missing that quality, consistent big who could score inside, give you a post presence, give you balance on the floor. You're missing guys that could lock you down on defense or do a great job of creating off the dribble. Other teams in the Big Ten have that. Indiana doesn't, and that is no secret. And as the fellow in the chat said, compare it to Archie Miller's year, from a record standpoint, it's the same, but Archie's team had a hell of a lot more balance during that first season than this one does. 812-393-2600. A year ago, calls were piling in about this team, about this program. And now I think that there's a lot of times that Indiana games end and people decide, I just think I need to walk away for a few minutes. I'm not going to spend the time calling in and talking more about the Hoosiers, a Hoosier team that isn't going to see, last year we had coaching changes and things like that to talk about. This year, that isn't the case. Darren DeVries is here, and I have liked at times the changes that he has made, and his style of basketball, I think, can be very attractive. But in the short term, if Indiana's not making threes, if they're being sloppy with the ball at all, if they have an opponent who has some quality bigs, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. They're going to be in a lot of trouble. Let's look at some of the individual stats in this one. Lamar Wilkerson leads the way, 19 points on 6 of 14 shooting, goes 5 of 11 from three-point range, makes both of his free throws, has an assist, couple of turnovers, 2 steals. He's minus 17 in 36 minutes. Sam Alexis, 6 points, 3 of 5 shooting. Did not record a rebound in 16 minutes. That's a problem. Didn't get to the free throw line. Had an assist and a block. Connor Enright, 6 points on 2 of 3 shooting, both of those from 3-point range. He fouled out as well. Had 2 turnovers in 16 minutes. Tate and Connerway, 5 points on 2 of 5 shooting. Misses both of his 3-point attempts. Gets to the free throw line just twice. Has 3 rebounds, 9 assists. Nice job with that. 2 turnovers. Good job with that. 2 steals. He's minus 23 on the night because he played 36 minutes. And then Tucker DeVries, 9 points on 3 of 10 shooting, 1 of 7 from 3-point range. Makes both of his free throw attempts, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He had 4 fouls, played 33 minutes. Off the bench, you got 5 points from Reed Bailey on 1 of 3 shooting, had 7 rebounds, also had 4 turnovers. Bailey is interesting because you need him to be productive. He doesn't have great hands. He doesn't do a great job of holding onto the ball when he's challenged, and I still just think he gets pushed around a lot by Big Ten bigs, and that ain't getting better. That is, unless he gets bit by a radioactive spider or something, it ain't getting better this year. Nick Dorn, 6 points on 2 of 6 shooting, has 2 rebounds and assist, 1 turnover in 28 minutes. He was also minus 23. He played quite a bit because of foul trouble to guys like Connerway. Trent Sisley plays 16 minutes. He's minus 14, 4 points on 2 of 3 shooting, misses his only 3-point attempt, has a couple of rebounds. Indiana for the game, 21 of 49 shooting overall. That's 42.9%. 10 of 31 from 3-point range, 8 of 11 from the free throw line, and has 14 turnovers versus 17 assists. The 17 assists on 21 made baskets, fantastic ratio. The 17 assists and 14 turnovers is god-awful, especially on the road. Especially when you throw in the fact that you just got out-rebounded by Michigan State, 37-19. Indiana had 7 more rebounds than you had in the second half, sitting on your couch. Got out-rebounded 21-7. And that led to Michigan State scoring 11 second-half points. Second chance points, I should say. Now, Michigan State was sloppy enough to give Indiana an opportunity to stay in this game, but they just had better speed, better quickness. They got to more loose balls. Everything that went into it, because they are a Big Ten team. Just because you're wearing an Indiana uniform does not make you a Big Ten player. And that's what I just can't stop coming back to. And that isn't to take a dump on teams from mid-majors, because there's a ton of talent there. But I also see time and time and time again that when you have a mid-major team play a major conference team at the major conference team's place, more often than not, you have the team that will put up a fight for 30 of the 40 minutes, and it all falls apart late. Because talent does show up at some point, especially when you only have 5 guys on the floor. It's a lot harder to maybe hide a guy or put him in a position to be a little bit more successful, even if he's not as talented than it is with football. That's one of the differences with that. And right now, this is not an Indiana team that is stepping up to play Big Ten basketball. 81-60. Is a final score. It is beyond frustrating. I know on Twitter during the game, a guy named Chris, who tweets at me routinely, he said, cannot win like this. Everyone's stagnant, standing around the 3-point line with no movement. We saw away from the ball early in the season. Really tough to rebound from 25 feet away from the basket, standing behind the defender when the ball goes up. That whole idea of standing around and not seeing the ball movement that we saw early in the year, that's something that that I've noticed as well. Early against Nebraska, Indiana moved the ball really, really well. Moved without the ball really, really well. And that has come to an end. That does not happen consistently. Call it energy, call it whatever you want to see, because we did see a little resurgence of that right after the long break Indiana had against Washington. Then we saw that. That did not show up the same way against Nebraska. We saw it at Maryland as well. It's how you score 90 points against Washington, 84 points against Maryland. One of the keys to playing in the Big Ten and playing at a high level is to bring the same energy night after night after night. And we're not seeing that from this Hoosier team. And then you lose to Nebraska in a game that you were up 16. You let that slip away. You go to Michigan State, you're tied at 53. You let that completely implode. And now this Saturday, you're going to have Iowa come to town, which is ranked in the top 25 in at least one of the polls. You have Michigan that you have to face on the road. Then you got another road game against Rutgers. And then you come back to Bloomington to take on Purdue. If Indiana plays anywhere near the way they did at the end of this Nebraska game, at the end of this Michigan State game, they aren't going to beat Iowa or Michigan or Rutgers or Purdue. And then we'll really be skidding. And that is what we're looking at. The question is not just about this season. And it's not about putting the Darren DeVries on the hot seat. It isn't. But you do need to see next year a whole different roster construction that you have. Again, he came in April, took a little bit of time to get his assistant coaches set, and then started adding players. Wanted shooters, got shooters. I just feel that this season is as much about can we get away with shooting our way to wins while we focus more on building a roster for next year. That's a sense I keep getting. That's what I don't see, because this roster, folks, I'm telling you, your seniors on this team, Connor Enright, Reed Bailey, Sam Alexis, Lamar Wilkerson, Tayton Connerway, Tucker DeVries. You have some of the guys that are juniors, Josiah Miles, who we haven't really seen, Jason Drake the same way. Nick Dorn's a junior. Josh Harris we haven't seen any of. So I that's going to be the challenge to me, is being able to see what kind of roster rebuild we're going to have, because it is definitely coming. We know that for sure. That's what we're dealing with. So there's like I said, there is a lot of frustration with the way this team played, the way the lack of fire, the lack of energy late. I think that's all just part of the equation here. Is that's just where we're at. We got some audio here from Darren DeVries, so I'll go ahead and bring that in to hear from Coach DeVries about what exactly his view of this was. So without any further ado, here is head coach Darren DeVries during his post-game press conference.
Scoring drought in the second half kind of led to Michigan State, extending the lead, separating. What kind of went wrong during that time, and what is kind of going wrong in multiple games here with the scoring droughts?
Yeah, I thought, I think I got tied up there with about 11:30 to go. And then after that, I thought we had some, poor offensive possessions, which was the same thing that happened to us the other day at home, where we had some turnovers, maybe a couple of down quality shots, and that led to their transition, and you can't give them transition, especially here, and that's where the game just flipped.
Josh.
Darian, when you fought your way back and you had it tied at 53, what did you think you could do the rest of the way to get over the hump?
Yeah, I thought, we talked in the huddle. We even had a few threes there that back to back that we just missed. But I like the way we were playing. I like the way we were guarding, and then just like we've talked about, just stringing a few bad possessions together, and they just compounded themselves. And we used a couple timeouts to try to slow it down, but we just never got back to getting stops. On the half court or in the open floor.
Hard to keep them off the foul line.
Yeah, I mean, we knew there was going to be some issues there with some of the interior play. Like we're going to have some matchup problems with some of the rebounding things, and obviously we got crushed in the glass there, so that was a big part of it too.
Josh.
Coach, 29 points off of your 14 turnovers. Is that something that's fixable in the run of play, or is that something that has to be taught in practice?
It's something you prioritize every day in practice, but yeah, it's something that's very fixable. It's like we've talked repeatedly about where are these turnovers coming from, who's causing them, and in most of the cases they're decision-making turnovers. It wasn't because we're getting trapped and they are getting deflections that way. A lot of them are self-inflicted. Good activity, obviously by Michigan State, but they're still decision-making turnovers that we got to do a better job, especially when you're in that portion of the game. It's like you've gotten yourself, it's a tie game, there's 11 minutes to go. Being able to play off of 2 feet, make those sound decisions, still run good offense, still be aggressive, but prioritize the basketball more. And like I said, that's disappointing for the veteran group as we have to be turning the ball over in these type of situations.
Yeah.
On that, are you kind of surprised that it happened again? Like, I mean, it was obviously a big, the hard part of last game too, but it just sloppy, right? I mean, had you kind of thought you'd improved in that area? Like, it just kind of really struggled again. There we go, the sloppiness.
Yeah, I thought we would. I mean, the guys get it. They understand it. They know, what importance that is. In both areas, the defensive rebounding and turnovers. And we said it from day one. Those are the 2 biggest factors, in my opinion, in winning and losing basketball games. And tonight we got beaten both.
Darren, wondering about the first half philosophy on Jeremy Fears defending him. Looked like you guys were sagging off him, and then also the 2 steals that he had to let run outs. How much did that maybe change some of the tone of the game?
Yeah, I thought in the first half, I think we were up 17-10, and you got, you picked Connor's pocket and was able to get a layup there. Second one, I don't remember quite as well, but in the second half. But I thought his ability in transition to get from A to B, when we weren't able to get him under control, was a problem for us. He was really dynamic in that way. So, it was either off of turnovers, long shots, whatever. If you can't get him slowed down early, it's really hard because the bigs are running and they're sealing, and it's hard to give a lot of help because you're wrestling down there with the bigs. So I thought he did a really good job of being aggressive, getting into the paint and finishing.
How did the foul trouble, you think, affect the way you guys defended early in the second half, especially against a guy like Coley where he's inside, kind of bangs away there against you early?
Yeah, in the first half, I thought it was actually more of a problem for us just because we had to, sub a lot more to try to protect those guys. I know Tucker picked up his 3rd pretty early, but I didn't think it really impacted a whole lot. I mean, we took him out for a while, but not long enough. I thought we were able to play through the foul. So I don't think the second half really had a lot to do with fouls necessarily, just playing through those last 10 minutes and that fatigue, and that's something we got to fight more.
Coach, Tucker hit that first shot on I think it was the first possession of the game, and goes 0 for 6 the rest of the way. What's been his struggle in conference play, and how has he tried to traverse that?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously going through a little bit of a shooting slump right now. It's for him, it's a longer one than he's had. He's been putting in time after time after time, and he actually shot it great today in shoot around. Shot it great in our full practice yesterday. Hit that first one. Thought maybe that would be the start of it, but it's going to happen. Just again, he's got to find his way back out of it.
It seemed like when they were denying or doubling Lamar, that was when the offense went cold. What do you guys need to do to get the offense going when Lamar slows down?
Yeah, I thought they did a good job making his catches tough. We had some things to try to slip out of some screens and create some opportunities there. We just a few of them were there. We just didn't finish the play. We ended up turning it over instead of getting a layup out of it. Ended up in their hands going the other way.
Last question, Daniel.
This is obviously a roster that's old, and as much as you've kind of preached playing with a lot of juice, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of times on the road it feels like you guys have just spiraled and haven't been able to catch it. Is that surprising, like to have a roster that's old, experienced, and played a lot of high-level ball that you just kind of haven't stopped a lot of runs?
Yeah, I think to a degree for sure. And again, I think it's been a little bit of the turnovers has been more of the common theme. I mean, there's always a little something else. So, I thought the turnovers tonight was what flipped it again in the second half. Once we went from that tie game to all of a sudden, they're playing a transition, and now you got the crowd going and the energy, and you just can't allow those type of runs if you're going to beat a good team.
Thanks, Coach.
So there's Darren DeVries talking about his team and the team's outing. The last question was exactly right, and then just talking about Tucker, it's exactly right. I mean, this isn't a veteran team that these kind of games, these kind of runs, this kind of fall apart shouldn't continue to happen. They've played too much basketball. Kelly on the chat says, I think Tucker was used to being the dominant player, and maybe this has been a hit to his ego going up against these guys in the Big Ten. He hasn't played the same since Marquette. Tucker played at West Virginia last year. To be fair, at West Virginia, he only played 8 games, but he still averaged 14.9 points in that. Shot the ball well from 3. He's a shooter. Plain and simple. He's a shooter, but he definitely looks a step slow along the way. Pecan Pies also says, why does it seem that Tucker has put on weight and it's not muscle? I really question the IU basketball strength and conditioning, not near where it needs to be. That is another theme with all of Indiana's players, save for just a couple of them, to where guys just are not as developed as you expect them to be playing in the Big Ten. Sam Alexis has good size. Tucker DeVries has, he's obviously a strong guy, but it isn't, the kind of basketball body that maybe you're used to seeing. But I mean, look, guys like Connor Enright are undersized from a strength standpoint. Reed Bailey definitely is. Lamar Wilkerson is not exactly a cut guy. So yeah, I mean, it's fair. It takes time to build guys, and they just got here this year, but that's not letting them off the hook. I've noticed that very same thing. Kelly says, you said our size is going to cause us to have foul trouble. I don't understand how they could shove around on us the way they do, and the foul's on us. How can I explain how that works? Yeah, it's the Big Ten. You're on the road. Doesn't make it right, but the home team gets an advantage. Happens at Assembly Hall. Indiana gets calls. It also makes a difference when you don't put yourself in correct position. Officials will reward you, reward a team if the opponent is out of position. Indiana's been out of position. But playing on the road, it's always an uneven playing field on that. There's a reason that home court advantage exists. Big Ten is among the worst in the conference with that. But when you're a step slow, you also reach. You also, if you are undersized in terms of strength and you run into a screen, it could look awkward, you trying to come around it, and it'll appear to be a foul. And officials are very easily tricked. During the Nebraska game, I described them as being gullible as golden retrievers, and I stand by that. That's just how it is. And also, you have to be the aggressor when it comes to having the ball, getting to the free throw line, and Indiana doesn't do a great job of that. Indiana in this game, by the way, whistled for 21 fouls. Michigan State for 17, which means Indiana was never in the double bonus the entire game. Hoosiers, Michigan State was in the double bonus in both halves, but it wasn't a wildly called game. But look, this is an Indiana team that's going to live and die by the three, has to be able to rebound, and it's a team that just has not done that at all. And so now they sit at 12-5 overall, 3-3 in the Big Ten, and some real challenges ahead of them: Iowa, Michigan, Purdue. So this two-game losing streak that Indiana is on after the losses to Nebraska and Michigan State, I fully expect will continue to 3 against Iowa and 4 against Michigan. We'll see about Rutgers, possibly 5 against Purdue. It's incredible, because this is a team that has shown that it can play well for long stretches, but they can't finish the deal. Think about the Kansas State game. That is a major conference team. Indiana beat them at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. And now here we are, a couple months or a month later, and the Hoosiers just don't seem to any longer be able to figure that out. Now, Kansas State, to be fair, is 9-7 on the season at this point, so it's not like they were world beaters either. But you have to be able to step up your play in conference, and the Hoosiers haven't done that. Ryan Kramer says, I can't believe players are this soft nowadays. They get money in the transfer portal. Hard to take IU basketball and college ball seriously. It's a system issue, to say the least. Not just Indiana, but you have, guys that are playing for 3 or 4 teams over the course of a career. It's very different than it used to be. I like the options that players have. I think it's good. They do generate a ton of money. I would like to see some tweaks with that, to where maybe if you transfer somebody, you're there for a couple of years, unless there's a coaching change, things of that nature, to make the player have to have skin in the game at a higher level than what we see sometimes. The style of play for college basketball bugs me, because I don't think possessions are valued as much as they should be. That a bad shot is just waved off. Hey, let's get to the next possession. Not wild about that. I know modern basketball is about threes and dunks. That doesn't mean there's always an open three, but you could work a little bit harder and try to work in. Teams try to work in volume, and that's how it is. I'm not wild about it, about the style, but I also know that I'm starting to get old, and so that is part of the equation. Last call for phone calls. 812-393-2600 is the number as we hit the 10 o'clock hour. I want to remind you, we're going to be doing a live broadcast from the Upstairs Pub on Kirkwood Avenue following the national championship game. If you are in Bloomington, come on out. Join us at the Upstairs Pub, and as we hopefully celebrate a national championship. That's going to be absolutely incredible. It's such a fun day after the Iowa game on Saturday. We will have another Peegs postgame live, talk about IU basketball, talk about IU football. Peegs podcast, we're going to have our football preview episode coming up here in the next couple of days as well. Busy week, exciting weekend. Plus, of course, you got the NFL playoffs and the power, grace, and glory of the Chicago Bears taking on the Los Angeles Rams. One of those battles that I wish my father was still alive, because he was a huge Rams fan. He would not have liked what he saw from this IU basketball team, I can tell you that. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are really frustrated with what they have seen, and what they hoped this year would be is starting to skid into something much, much different. And I understand the frustration completely. Winning at Michigan State is always an issue, but when you lose the way Indiana did when it was tied 53 here in the second half, and to have it unravel the way that it did, to what? You finish up the game on, what is that, a 28-7 run? That's ugly. That's not the way to get people on your side. I'll tell you right now. This is a frustrated fan base. It's a frustrated group who really wants to see things get better. It didn't happen today. Indiana has its next opportunity at 2 p.m. Eastern against Iowa on Saturday at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. We'll see if they could get it done. Well, that's all the time we have on the Peegs Postgame Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. It's going to be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time, but for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.